Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be previewing, looking ahead to the big EPL matches coming up on the weekend, the first major match day after the start of the new year. Now, of course, joining me this evening to preview these matches and to talk some EPL football, we have returning to the podcast, Sir Cole.
Greetings, everyone. Blessed New Year.
Indeed, Sir Cole.
Mm.
We also have returned into the podcast, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, gents. New year. I'm not sure if things will change in the EPL, but definitely looking forward to 2025. But we're going to kick things off and we're going to start no place else but over there at Anfield, Sir Cole. Liverpool versus Manchester United. What's your take on that match? Can United pull off a shock upset?
That would clearly be one of the biggest upsets we'd have seen for a long time, based on the form of both teams. Um, no, I really don't foresee any upsets in this one. Liverpool should start favourites and will definitely come away with 3 points come weekend.
So no hope for United, Circle. You're writing them off from the butt.
Well, this is football. A ball is round. Well, we have seen, that things can happen, but I really don't foresee it. I won't go to a limb and try and predict this one in favor of Manchester United at all.
What's your take, Christoph? I mean, Amarin, new coach. Uh, is the new coach Rob gone? No progress? Or has this United team actually regressed, you would say, under Amarin when compared to the coach he replaced in the form of Ten Hag? Has this team gone backwards as opposed to moving forward, Christoph?
I don't necessarily know that it's a case where the team has gone backward. It could be, teething problems where the team is having trouble adjusting to the new system and what is required of them in this. You talk about the new coach Bones, but I think Ruud van Nistelrooy probably used it up before he left.
Indeed, I agree. It was shared between both Ruud van Nistelrooy and Amarin, but for sure, this is a big derby, probably the biggest derby in England circle. I mean, they say farm goes through the window when it comes to a derby, and there's no bigger derby in England, or I would put it in world football at the moment. These are two of the most renowned clubs globally, circle. Would you classify this Liverpool Manchester United matchup as the biggest globally in terms of a derby setting? I mean, there's no longer Messi and Ronaldo for the El Clasico. Has the Liverpool Manchester United derby surpassed the likes of a El Clasico or even a Milan matchup?
Probably in the past, yes, but I don't think this one would be. It's big in terms of the names, but in terms of the forms of the teams, it really doesn't. You know, strike me as a big game anymore. It's pretty much a straightforward routine game that you expect a weekend, save for the names of the teams.
It's almost as if you're saying it's a top team versus a mid-table strugglers circle.
Well, pretty much at the team at the top of the table versus a team in the bottom half. So it's
Ah,
expect a really routine game come weekend.
tough times ahead for sure. Tough times ahead. But I mean, can we actually? I mean, Liverpool. Talk to us about Liverpool. What does Liverpool need to do though in order to come away winners? I mean, the ball is round. It is still 11v11. Bruno Fernandes should be back from his suspension circle. So the United team should be a bit stronger in terms of the personnel they have available. What does Liverpool need to do in order to grab these 3 points?
Well, I don't think Liverpool needs to try and reinvent the wheel. Basically, continue doing what they have been doing, which is playing quality, effective football, very, very efficient in attack, scoring multiple goals each game, and keeping things tight in defense. They don't really need to do any major tweaks to try and negate a Man U, I think. I mean, our farm doesn't really force I'll put at Liverpool to really make any changes. Just do what they've been doing week in, week out.
That seemed to be the formula that Slot has found, and the team is definitely firing on all cylinders. League leaders at the moment, what, 6 points lead, I believe, or 6 or 5, one of the two, with a game in hand. And of course, the closest rival, Arsenal, getting a few victories over the festive period and putting some bit of pressure on the team at the top there. But I mean, based on the form, based on the eye tests, I would say, and the general gameplay, it would be a big surprise if Liverpool didn't come away with all 3 points. But the game is the ball is rolling. You still have to play the game, and stranger things have definitely happened. And I would think, Sir Cole, that the fear of any Liverpool coaching staff or fans is the team getting complacent. Is this a game, Christoph, which they could potentially hit a skid? Is Manchester United at one of those banana peels that could cause this Liverpool team to skid?
No, I don't think United is one of those teams that you would consider a banana peel because regardless of how poor they are, this is one of those matches that teams do take seriously. Liverpool is going to take seriously. Manchester United is going to take seriously. How they play, is anybody's guess, but it's a game that both teams will take seriously. So I don't think it will potentially be a banana peel like it was last season. Um, I don't. I really just at the moment I don't see Manchester United as a threat to Liverpool at the moment.
So could
Man U.
United be drawn into a relegation battle? I mean, that is the current narrative. I mean, United now faces Liverpool. I believe they have Arsenal and who is the next team? I'm not sure, but definitely Liverpool, Arsenal is within the next three they will play. I mean, are we looking at United falling into a relegation dogfight,
No, I, I,
Sir Cole,
I
in any serious way?
I think United play Arsenal in the FA Cup. So after this game, so we can't use that as mirroring for the relegation. I think they're potentially in a relegation fight, but it's not back-to-back EPL games that they're going to be suffering.
Mm, got you. Stranger times ahead, Sir Cole, stranger times ahead indeed. But Sir Cole, what is your score prediction for this one? I mean, you made it clear that you expect a Liverpool win, but by what margin do you expect that win to come by?
Uh Man, you will try the best to go up and put up our version of a fight. Um, that probably will help to soften the damage a bit, but at least 3 goals to nil. Really and truly, I don't see Man U scoring on the weekend.
3 goals to nil. What says you, Christoph?
That is also my expected goal as well. 3 goals to nil. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was five, to be honest, just because of how poor that United defending has been over the last couple of weeks.
Wow, some big scoreline there. Some big scoreline. I believe United should be able to trouble the back of the net in all honesty. Liverpool hasn't had the most airtight of defenses in the last couple of games. Ever since Kanate went down injured, Liverpool have been leaking goals. United do create chances within matches, I would say. It's not a team which isn't creating chances. The problem is putting away those chances which are created. I just feel they will at least put away one in this match. So for me, I'm gonna go with a 3-1 victory to Liverpool. So for me, I'm calling this one 3 goals to 1. I believe Liverpool should win, but I feel United should get on the score sheet.
Um, if Liverpool scores a goal within the first 10, then it will be more than three. I think it will be catastrophic.
Well, I mean, stranger things have happened. I believe some years ago, what it was
7
6-1, 7-1. So
nil.
7-0. Wow. Big scoreline there. So Sibley, it could be. I just feel that these derby matches, regardless of how the form of the teams coming in, yes, you would give the home team the slight advantage based on current form. and the fact they're playing at home. But for whatever reason, teams tend to rise to the occasion in these derby matches, in all honesty. And with the type of play that Manchester United have employed over the period, which is pretty much playing on the counter, this game suits them. Liverpool will dominate possession, and Manchester United will play on the counter attack. So, really and truly, this game should play to the strengths of United, in all honesty. So, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a closer game than what you could say the bookies or the odds suggest. These are still teams which with quality, and I'm sure Amarin should be able to come up with some sort of tactical solution that could potentially limit this Liverpool attack and keep them somewhat quiet. So it is possible. I mean, Amarin is a solid enough coach circle, and we've already seen that philosophy which he is bringing to the United team. The results may not be going in his favor currently, but we can definitely see a distinct playing style, a distinct pattern of play. And it's just a matter of time. He has to be given time, he has to be given funds, he has to be given the opportunity to bring in his type of player, so to speak. And United as a unit, as fans circle, as a board, need to trust the process at this point in time. They have to take on an Arsenal type model. You have to give the coach time and space in order to do his work. So the United fans can't be chomping up the bits, wanting Amarin's head at the first sign of trouble circle. United is going to lose more games now, or things may very well get worse before they start getting better.
Yeah, but the thing is, we do ask the question: how long does a manager really need? Slot has come in; he has brought in any transfers, and he's doing as well as Klopp did, or
Well, I
arguably
mean,
better.
slot may be the odd as opposed to the norm. So he may
Uh,
be
uh,
the exception to the
the,
rule.
I don't. It's not necessarily the exception. No. Slot came in and he came into good players, quality players. That's not the case with Amarin at United. United have bad players that they think are good. Anthony, Maguire, Onana, or whatever.
A whole squad of a
Right,
whole squad,
United
as a big squad overhaul is needed. Then
United needs a squad overhaul, but Slot came into a team that was already made.
already set. Just
The
need
team
that.
the
They
team
just needed a
chemistry was
manager
there.
technically,
The team chemistry was there. Um, remember that Liverpool had a number of defensive injuries last season that
right?
kind of helped to derail them. They haven't really had much of that this season. There haven't been much disruptions for them so far. He didn't bring in any players, so therefore it didn't disrupt the team chemistry that they had built up over the years under Klopp.
Right, right, right. Definitely. I mean, it's two different situations. Two different situations. It's almost like you're comparing oranges and pear circle.
Mm,
I'm not sure if a comparison with slot is probably the right comparison. I think a closer comparison may be the situation when Arteta took over at Arsenal, where a number of big players who were underperforming were on high wages, the likes of Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, just to name a few. These were big signings with on big wages.
mm,
And you can see that over the period, Arteta has gotten rid of them and has brought in players more akin to his style of play, more akin to his philosophy, and more akin to the sort of discipline he would want to see in the team. And it took a number of years. I mean, to date, Arsenal has really only won one trophy. They are challenging, but at the end of the day, you're judged based on the number of trophies you win.
yeah, it's true. But I mean, when you look at teams with look at Ten Hag. Ten Hag basically brought Ajax with him over to
Which is
Man U.
right.
And it didn't change anything. So how long will you give the manager? How many transfers does he need? It really wasn't going
So how long
towards the
would you
positive
give him,
side.
Sir Cole, as a United fan? What is your window? What's your threshold? How long do you extend that patience? For you personally, as a fan looking on.
I give him two transfer markets,
So
two transfer
this
seasons.
so this January window, which we're in now, and the summer then.
Yes, and summer. Then if after that it's not improving, then you try again somewhere else.
Mm. Ah, interesting 2025 ahead of us. Interesting 2025 ahead of us indeed. But there are some other matches with some big implications coming up. Spurs versus Newcastle, for example. That's another tough game, I would say. Christoph, what says you about that matchup? Spurs at home versus Newcastle.
It's definitely a tough game to call at the moment, especially because Newcastle is, they seem to be overperforming again, and Spurs at the moment seems to be underperforming. They've lost what, three of their last five, and I think they drew their last game. Newcastle, on the other hand, seems to have found a new gear and seems to be playing at a higher level at the moment. So I think it's a difficult game. I think it has the potential to go either way at the moment.
I would definitely bank on Newcastle in all honesty. I mean, that man Isaac is in red hot form and the attacking threats seem
I
to
mean,
be alive and well. So for me,
he's
I
in
can
farm. I
see
don't know if
nothing
it's
other
red
than a
hot farm.
Newcastle win. Oh, repeat that, Christoph.
He's in farm. I don't know if it's red hot farm, but he's in farm.
Well, I mean, to me, it's red hot. I mean, he's catching up the EPL currently. I mean, he would be a perfect signing for a team like Arsenal, Christoph, who lacks a talisman up front. Isaac may be one you guys need to look at. Will Newcastle sell and for what price tag? But for sure, I think Newcastle is playing some good quality football. They
Well,
have run
I
into
be
some rich farm.
I believe Newcastle have set a 100 million pound price tag on
100
him.
million.
A
Wow, that's
hundred
cheap
million.
then. That's definitely cheap. A man
You
like
think
Isaac
that's
should be
cheap?
going for at least 150. 100
Interesting.
mil is cheap. I mean, look at Grealish. He went for 100 and not doing much over there at Man City. I mean, a man like Isaac you're looking at a 20 goal a season striker in the EPL. I'm thinking in this market, it should be a figure closer to 150. What says you there, those Sir Cole? How do you see this game? Newcastle, Spurs, what's
No,
your take?
Isak isn't worth anything near 100. He's in good form, yes. However, he's not a £100 million player. I think.
Is it?
First of all, he's very injury prone, so that alone will lessen the price tag. Has he scored over 20 goals in any EPL season so far?
Ah, he did have a good season when Newcastle qualified for the Champions League. I'm not sure how many goals he got then, but definitely
But
I would say he would have been
I don't
in
think
the
it was so
top
many.
five. He would have been in the top five in terms of
Yeah,
goals for
probably.
sure.
But I
I'm not sure
mean,
if he went over 20, but yeah.
no, I don't think he has that kind of value at this point in time. Mind you, if he has recently signed a contract, then the length of contract may be a big factor in player value. But I really don't see him valuing that kind of money right now at all.
But in terms of your prediction for this game, Circle, what says you as it relates to this matchup? Spurs at home versus Newcastle. What's your predicted scoreline?
Uh, I'm seeing it 2-1 to Newcastle.
2-1 to Newcastle. Christoph, what says you?
Mm, mm,
I would go with the same 2-1 to Newcastle or 3-1 to Newcastle. I think Spurs have the potential to win, but
mm.
the recent poor form could be compounded in this game by Newcastle just being in very good form at the moment.
Definitely, definitely. Newcastle is definitely one of the farm teams, and the players as well. Confidence should be high in this game. The likes of Isaac Murphy, Garden, and of course that midfield. Tonelli seemed to have come into some form also, and he seemed to be one of those dominant midfielders. In all honesty, he ran riot versus Manchester United in their last time out, but. For me, I see nothing other than a Newcastle win also. I see multiple goals, however, so I'm going to go 3-2 to Newcastle. 3-2 to Newcastle. Spurs is always a team that is scoring, very attacking play. So I think they will definitely get on the score sheet. But again, defensively, they are at sixes and sevens. And with the sort of farm players like Isak Garden, Murphy is in, Gimares may pop up with a goal from the midfield as well. I just think they will have too much firepower for this Spurs team to cope with. So definitely a Newcastle win, but I think multiple goals. So for me, I'm gonna go 3-2 for Newcastle. But some other games, Sir Cole, Aston Villa versus Leicester.
Uh, Aston Villa versus Leicester.
Aston Villa at home versus relegation candidate Van Nistelrooy-led Leicester City.
I think Leicester will come out swinging for this one. It won't be a routine win for Aston Villa. Um, Leicester, I think, should be able to find the net as well. But Aston Villa at home, I'll give them the slight edge in this one. I see them winning it by 2 goals to 1.
Who goes to one? Ah, yeah, I agree with that
Mm.
scoreline. Uh, in that, I believe Aston Villa will win. I feel they may keep a clean sheet though, so I'm gonna go 2-0 to Aston Villa. 2-0 to Aston Villa. But Christoph, Bournemouth at home to Everton. What says you?
Um, I'm going to go with Everton at the moment. I think they're kind of finding a rhythm. They're defending well, playing well. They're getting those counter attacks in. I think they have enough to beat Bournemouth at home.
Ah, what's your scoreline though?
Probably like 2-1, to be honest.
1. You seem to disagree though, Sir Cole, with Christoph's prediction for that one. What says you, Sir Cole, for that game? Bournemouth at home versus Everton. Do you have a different take on it?
Yeah.
Strong feeling of
E-
draw.
Everton really and truly has not been finding the net. If anything, nil would be the best outcome for them. However, I see Bournemouth getting on the score sheet, and I will go and call a Bournemouth 2-0 win.
2-0 win for Bournemouth. Ah, two contrasting views there, to be honest. I lean more towards Bournemouth as well. I just think Bournemouth has more attacking threats on the field. And it should possibly be another game of defense versus attack, which seem to have been Everton's trait of late. I do feel they will get on the score line or the score sheet, however, but I think Bournemouth will have too many attackers for them to cope with. So for me, I'm gonna go 2-1 Bournemouth at home. 2-1 to Bournemouth at home.
Mm.
Then we have a London derby on the cards as well. Crystal Palace versus, you could say, a regressing Chelsea. Circle, I'll come to you first on that one. Crystal Palace at home versus Chelsea. What says you?
Yeah, Chelsea has kind of hit a small slump, I would say, getting some negative results over the last 2 or 3 games. Palace really and truly isn't really, in the positive either. So it's a game in which both teams will be trying to, gain a bit of momentum for the new year. That being said, I still see Chelsea coming out on top in this one. I will call it Chelsea three goals to 1.
3-1 to Chelsea. What says you, Christoph? This is another derby game over there in London.
It I mean, on paper it's a derby game, but it's not a derby game, so to speak. Crystal
Well, it's not a
Palace.
big derby, but for sure it's two
I,
of those
I,
London teams
I
coming
don't, I
head to
don't,
head.
I don't even think that the players would consider it a derby game, to be honest.
Mm.
This feels like the game where you probably will see Chelsea bouncing back. Crystal Palace did win their last game, but that was against Southampton, who
Right.
honestly nobody
Mhm.
should be losing to be honest. So I think we will see Chelsea bounce back in this game, probably like 3-0, to be honest.
I'm gonna back Crystal Palace, Christoph, to continue to contain this Chelsea attack. You stop Cole Palmer, you stop this Chelsea team,
But
and I believe
that doesn't mean Crystal Palace can do that.
I believe they have enough tools in their toolbox to put on a good show versus Chelsea, especially at home. Players like Eze and Sarr provide that attacking threat, and Chelsea I would say doesn't possess the most airtight of defensive. And then, of course, going forward, I believe the coach erred in his last game by not starting Jackson. Jackson should be back in that starting 11. So they should be more potent up front. But I just feel with them dropping slightly off form and, Crystal Palace going through a small, you could say, renaissance, a small re-emergence, and their better players in hot form. Sarr is in red hot form. Eze got on the score sheet in the last game. Mateta getting a few chances here or there. I think they have enough firepower to trouble this Chelsea team, and I just feel Chelsea has lost their sting a bit, and I just feel Crystal Palace will take advantage of that. So I'm predicting a positive result for Crystal Palace and Chelsea to continue in the slump they're in. I don't think it's this game that they get that W. The last three games have been losing two and drawing one. I just think that trend will continue, where they will either lose again or draw in this game versus Crystal Palace. But of course, I mean, it will not be shocking if they did get a victory, but I'm just going to back my football instincts and go with a Palace result in this one, especially at home. Then we have Man City, West Ham, circle. Man City versus West Ham.
Man City were able to get a win last outing. West Ham suffered a big defeat. Uh, Man City playing at home, I believe, for this one. I will see Man City coming away with at least a 3-0 win. Loss of Bowen, I think, will hurt the West Ham attack. They won't be coming forward as much. Kudus alone, I don't think, is enough to trouble the Man City defense. So I'm seeing Man City picking up another 3 points in this one with at least a 3-goal margin of victory.
3-0 to Man City is the call there. Christoph, what says you about Southampton versus Brentford?
Um, I don't think anybody should be losing to Southampton at the moment. Brentford also in a poor run of form. I think
Especially
this is
away from home as well.
especially away from home. I think it's either a Brentford win or a draw, to be honest. I can't see Southampton
I'm
picking up
I'm
a
gonna
win.
back Southampton to get a win. I
I
just think
don't.
that Brentford farm away from home is just, I'm not sure what is happening, to be
I
honest. It's
mean,
like something switch off in the team almost, and they just seem not able to pick up good results away from home. And I just feel that switch will click again. Southampton at this point should be a hungry team under new management. And to me, this may be the perfect opportunity to be facing a team like Brentford. So for me, I'm going to back a Southampton positive result. Possibly a 1-0 or 2-0 for Southampton is my call for this one. I'm going against the green in this one, Sir Cole.
Well, that's really a brave call for sure. Even though Brentford concede a lot, they score as well. I really don't see Southampton causing their defense as much trouble as how Brentford will cause theirs. Um, yeah, I'm with a Brentford win to concede,
Brentford
but
win.
to win still. So Brentford 2 goes to 1.
Who goes to one? Brighton versus Arsenal, Christoph. Can Brighton pull off a upset versus Arsenal?
they can. Brighton does tend to play well. The Arsenal have had, mixed results against Brighton. Arsenal, however, should go into this game thinking they can win and should be winning. Brighton has been in very poor form of late. I think last 7 games are they haven't won in the last 7 games or something like that. So it's a game that Arsenal should be winning easily, but Brighton tends to come to life in certain games, and this Arsenal game is one of them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with that assessment. I think Arsenal should win this game. I mean, I just don't trust that Brighton defense. That is Brighton's problem at the moment. And of course, offensively as well, they seem not to be clicking ever since the injury to Welbeck. Joe Pedro was lucky to still be on the field after throwing an elbow that missed Circle. I mean, if that had connected, you were
Mm-hmm.
probably looking at potentially a 5-match ban, in all honesty. Such was the force behind the elbow, but he came up blanks. It did not connect. But uh, I can't see nothing other than an Arsenal win. In all honesty, Arsenal has too many threats to not get a victory over Brighton. So for me, this should be a routine Arsenal win for me versus Brighton. Possibly, I would say 2 goals to nil in that one. But the final game on our agenda, this one coming up on Sunday, Sir Cole, is Fulham versus Ipswich. Ipswich, of course, coming off that magnificent win versus Chelsea. And Fulham, I believe, were held to a draw by a late surge in Bournemouth. What says you in that one? Fulham at home versus Ipswich.
Fulham has been improving, has been showing some good form. Mind you, the Ipswich win was really against the, what we expect because we expected a win from Chelsea. However, they did come up trumps in that game. That being said, I still see a return to regular programming, and I see Fulham coming out with a win in this one. I would say Fulham by two goals to them.
Yeah, Fulham has definitely been one of those more solid teams over the course of the season thus far. Very hard to disagree with your assessment there, Sir Cole. I wouldn't necessarily say return to regular programming though, but I do believe that Fulham have enough, especially at home. I may have assessed this game differently if Ipswich was the team at home, but Ipswich is playing away in this one. Fulham is the team at home, and I do believe they should be able to get a tight win. It wouldn't surprise me though, Circle, if this one ended in a draw, in all honesty. Looking at the way Ipswich plays, I believe they have enough quality to trouble this Fulham defense, especially that striker Dillap and of course Hutchinson, who plays an attacking role as well. They do have enough to trouble this Fulham defense. So it would not surprise me if it ended in a draw, but I'm gonna give Fulham the benefit of the doubt and call a victory for them. So I believe they should be able to get a 2-1 win over this Ipswich team. But the ball is round and anything is definitely possible. But Christoph, any final thoughts as it relates to this weekend set of football matches coming up? Any final thoughts as we progress into 2025?
Um, I think there are some interesting matchups, and people will be keen to see what the results of these games are. Even though I expect Liverpool to beat United, I'm interested to see how that match plays, how specifically how Manchester United will approach this game, if they will if Amarin will continue his revolution, bringing his brand of football to United, or
Man,
if
that
they
is a
will
must, man.
switch it up in order to get the
Not at all.
results
It would be an
in
error
this
to switch
game.
up at this point. Similar
Um,
persistence with the philosophy is my call. You have
um,
to stamp your authority and your signature on the team.
uh, Also, I'm interested to see if Manchester City will follow up their last win with another win, or if that result was a bit of a blip, given how poor Leicester is. In all honesty, West Ham is also poor, but they have been getting some results. They have 6 wins. Um, so interesting game to look at. In my opinion.
I agree. I agree. It's be interesting to see if they actually turn the corner, so to speak, or as you say, it was just one of those games which you could do nothing other than win versus a very poor Leicester team. But
Right.
definitely a game to keep one's eye on. But what about you, Sir Cole? Any final thoughts as it relates to these games coming up over the weekend?
Well, I think the attention we kind of move away from the top of the table. I think persons know expect how those games will go involving the top teams. I think the more balanced games are the ones which will grab attention for this weekend. Castle Spurs, and those kind of games. I think the Fulham game are the ones which will grab most interest. I think this weekend.
Quite possibly, Sir Cole, quite possibly, but you can't go around Liverpool versus Manchester United. For one way or for whatever reason. I mean, it's not the most competitive of matchups on paper currently, but it still has that draw. I mean, these are two of the teams globally with some of the biggest fan base. It should be the showpiece match on Sunday, and I'm definitely looking forward to this one. So indeed. But thanks again, viewers and subscribers, for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Special thanks to Sir Cole, Christoph, for coming on board. and sharing your thoughts and your opinions. It's a good way to start off 2025 and look forward to some more football coming up, definitely. But thanks again, viewers. Please continue to support us by sharing, leaving your comments, leave your prediction in the comment section. Tell us, who do you think will win that matchup? Liverpool versus Manchester United. And of course, if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. And if you are a subscriber, then of course hit your notification bell so you get that notification once we upload a new video. But Happy New Year again, and until next time, this is Rafa signing off.